Omair, we're getting so many phone calls from agents, from prospective buyers, from actual buyers and owners today saying, look, inflation's at 7%. The cost of borrowing has gone up by 1.75% to 2%. Total cost of living on a month-over-month basis has increased by 10%. We didn't budget for this. Yes, we've got equity. Yes, we've got different things that we can tap into. But if there's another rate increase potentially coming up, should we lock into our mortgage and ride? What do you think?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Ricky. And that's a really good question. What you said, it is true about housing as a whole. So did you know the median mortgage payment in Canada used to be $2,000 a month? Today, it's $3,000 a month. Just over 6 months, we've seen a $1,000 increase in mortgage payments.
And that's just the mortgage payment.
That's just the mortgage. And you know what? That is a beautiful point you're bringing up. That's just the mortgage payment, because that is not all. This phenomena is now applicable to not only mortgages, but also with renting. Even if you're a tenant, your mortgage payments, just because your mortgage payments are going up, rents are also going up. So no one is winning right now, right? And not even banks. Even banks are not winning. They're paying higher interest rate on, all their debt as well, right? And the government of Canada, it is doing everything they can to curb inflation, and that is by increasing interest rates. Okay, yeah. So yes, variable rates are going up. They will continue to likely go up. We will most likely see another rate hike in October, or in this month actually, on the 26th. We'll probably see another rate hike. So yeah, if you're on a variable rate mortgage and your rate is around 4.5%, you should be looking at doing something about it. Because if a 75 basis point hike happens, you will be at 5.25. If a 1% rate hike happens, which is also in the cards over the next few months, you'll be at 5.5. So what you're now looking at is that your variable rate is pretty much at par with fixed rates. So looking into a fixed rate, maybe a short-term fixed rate, like a 2 or 3 year, is not a bad idea. It's a decent hedge against inflation. But you also want to caution yourself. You don't want to go and take a 5-year fix or a long-term fix, because what's going to happen eventually is that Bank of Canada, they look at inflation expectations, and these inflation expectations are measured by various surveys that they do, right? So what are the expectations? The expectations are simple, right? That supply chains are improving, commodity prices are falling, right? House prices are adjusting. So these are indicators that the economy is slowing, and that is what the Bank of Canada wants. They want the economy to slow. But how long will this take, right? It's not happening slow enough. So this could take a year, it could take a year and a half. But if you take a 5-year fix today, you'll be locked into an extremely high rate mortgage for a very long period of time. And if you try to break that term, you're going to get hit with massive penalties. I can explain how interest rate differential penalties, IRD penalties work, but that is another video in its own, right? So long story short, if you take a long-term fix right now, it's probably not a good idea. But if you're on a variable, you want to look at a couple of things. Number one is, where's your rate currently at? Is it currently at 4.5%? Because if it is, you need to act. What do you have to do? Well, pick up the phone and call your bank, right? You're either with a lender that is a static payment or a adjustable payment. So adjustable payment banks are like Scotia. Every time a rate hike happens, they will increase your mortgage payment. So you're probably feeling the pinch right now. It might get a little bit worse when rates go up. So you might want to protect yourself and lock it in. But if you're with a static payment lender like TD, BMO, CIBC, this is where you have to be especially careful, because rates have gone up so much that when you initially took out that mortgage, your mortgage was connected to an amortization. Amortization means how long this mortgage takes, how long it takes you to pay off this mortgage. Generally, these are 25 or 30 years. And then when you take a mortgage out, your payments are split into two parts, principal and interest. Portion of your payment goes towards principal, portion of it goes towards interest. Now, because these rates are going up so much and your payment is not changing, more money is going towards interest than it is towards principal. And if it goes to a point where all of your payment is going towards interest, you have now hit what's called the trigger. And when you hit a trigger rate, you get 3 options from the bank. Option 1, fix it in. Option 2, increase your mortgage payment, which would be substantial. Or option three, you do a significant lump sum payment on your mortgage to bring it in line where your payments are still keeping the same original amortization. So if you're on a variable rate mortgage right now, call your bank, find out what is your amortization right now. Because if you took out a 30-year mortgage, you're probably sitting at 40, 50 years right now, which could be a problem. A lot of this can be solved very easily. If you talk to your bank or your mortgage broker in good time right now, and you put 20% down, or you have equity in your house, you may be able to re-amortize your mortgage. You may be able to refinance, take some equity out that could cushion, the increase in mortgage payments. It might be a little bit more difficult for individuals who've put 5 or 10% down, or high ratio customers, right? But I'll tell you one more thing today, Ricky. A lot of people don't actually know this. If you bought a house and you put less than 20% down, and you are having trouble paying your mortgage payments today, you can actually call CMHC, Genworth, or Canada Guarantee, and you can ask them to increase your amortization from 25 to 30 years. They actually offer that. It is part of their a hardship program. So they do put you through a program where they assess your assets, liabilities, and whatnot, but it is possible to do. So long story short, yes, if your interest rate is above 4.5% right now, act quickly, talk to your mortgage professional, either fix it into a 2 or 3 year, which will protect you against any further increases, or at least figure out a plan where your amortization is not going to be compromised and you're not going to be hit with a notice from the bank that says, we have to increase your payment by $1,500 today.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Omair, you're right. You got to look at the numbers. You've got to assess your individual situation. Ultimately, real estate in the province of Ontario is an economic engine. And City of Toronto's hurting because they're doing less transactions. There's less land transfer tax going in, just less money for services, right? The province is hurting because the number of deals has come down substantially year over year. Again, comparing last year to any year doesn't make any sense because it was an anomaly as far as most reasonable realtors are concerned. And so everybody's talking about the pendulum swinging severely in one direction now. Eventually, once inflation comes back into control, banks are already starting to now bid for prime minus. So some people are looking at it and saying, well, my term's up. Maybe I'll refinance from one bank to another bank because the rate's preferential to me. And banks are already starting to compete on this. So looking at what you're paying today, what you could be paying and locking in and hedging versus locking into a long-term 5-year or leaving it open, it all comes down to your individual situation and your analysis. And that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And here's the thing, right? The good news is that inflation is it's dropped to 7%. A lot of folks will obviously say that largely this is because of gasoline prices. But again, as commodity prices go down, we're going in the right direction. This obviously won't happen overnight. This will take some time, but rest assured, we will make through. It will work out.
Yeah, and a lot of people also understand that they were stress tested higher, right? So where the interest rates are now, I think the double jeopardy here is the fact that cost of living has gone up. Everything's a little bit more expensive. And so families and households are starting to feel a pinch, but there is a silver lining. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Real estate has always been a long-term investment prospect for most people. And I think the average consumer today that owns real estate for the long term will be just fine.
100%. I absolutely agree with you.
Thank you so much, Amir, for the time. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, Ricky. Take care. Bye-bye.